Welcome to Timber&Terra. I am Glenn. This may be the last or close to the last video of building this road for this year. My plan here, really this video is going to focus on ditches and drainage, but I do have one last section of road way back there to sort of grade out and level. So I have taken from here, this was sort of relatively flat and then it dipped down sharp at the road, so I've cut that back, and this showed this during the last video, but I finished that, basically stolen all the dirt that I can, the road base type dirt, all the way to this culvert. I ran into a rock garden or rock graveyard, so I don't know, I'll probably do something with the rocks here to sort of make the transition from the mowable field down to the entrance of the culvert. I haven't figured that out yet. But I did want to show just one last push on how I've been moving this. This is sort of on the hairy edge of do you push the dirt or do you trailer it? If I had an off-road dump truck, this distance would probably be much easier to truck to get the material up there than to push it. But with my dump trailer and tractor, it's a bit less efficient. So sort of a slot push is best I could do, meaning you sort of leave the windrows of dirt on the edges. That sort of works to contain the material in front of the blade, so you can push it a bit more efficiently. It doesn't spill out as much. So what I'm going to do now is push that last little bit of dirt and then clean up the edges, because all the stuff on the dirt I need to push back there as well. That should be enough material to get the road the level that I want. And then I need to worry about the ditch. So I have a little bit of ditch work to do up there, and this here that I removed also to make at least a little bit of a ditch. So all the material for the most part is removed from the road, at least what I can easily get with a dozer. This little bit here is going to be the ditch, so I'm going to do that with the excavator, and I will trailer that back. I still have, I could probably use 3 to 5 loads, my trailer loads up to finish the very end of the road there. So on the side here, I got sort of the bank. This will be covered with topsoil and sort of blend in with the natural curve of the hayfield there. I did manage to cover up my culvert, so there'll be some handwork there, but I'll bring the excavator over here anyhow, because I have several big rocks, that one, a couple of these, and that one to place. I'll probably put those here on the outlet. Use that place to sort of waste those big rocks. But before I do this, I want to sort of mark out the curve of the road. I'm trying to keep it to about 12 feet wide. So I'll figure out which curve looks best, the inside curve or the outside curve that I've made here, and then mark it out to establish the ditch. So where the culverts are actually works out well, because that's where curve is, and I want the curves a little bit wider than 12 feet, so you're making around the corner, you don't have to worry about sort of going off the ditch. I'm not sure how well these white lines will show up. I don't know why I got white. I got like athletic paint instead of that blaze orange marking paint. But here's the white line. Basically follows this windrow. I guess closer to the windrow, and then to the 20-foot culvert. The road spreads a little bit again with that curve is, so that works out well. All right, so let's dig this out, and then any extra dirt that I think I can steal, I will do that and bring to the end of the road. This ditch looks like it'll drain either to one culvert or the other, the one that's behind us or the one in front of us. I'm guessing basically from here over it's going to go into this culvert just by eye, but that has deceived me before. So that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I'm not going to worry about putting the topsoil back in here yet. My priority before we get rain and too much mud for me to do any more work is to make sure the road will at least drain. It doesn't have to look pretty quite yet. So as far as up here goes, I probably have enough material there to make the road the grade that I want it, but I do have this little bit of higher ground here. It's probably about a foot or so higher than the road. So I'm going to do the same sort of thing here as I did back there. It's just that it's not going to be nearly as much material. I'll just toss the topsoil off to the left and the good road-based material onto the road, and then I'll grade that out. One of the questions I needed to answer that I've been pondering is how to deal with this ditch entrance inlet. So what I decided, because it was very deep, it was probably 3 feet below grade. So what I decided to do is cut out this sort of pie-shaped, you see here, which is probably about, well, I scraped off the topsoil, it's probably 18 inches below that grade. So what my plan is, I will put road fabric here just because it's a much bigger area. It's not like a long and narrow ditch. And line it with rocks. It's just another repository for me to put rocks. I'll put rocks basically level, probably level up to here. And then the topsoil, whatever that 6 to 8 inches is, will be the clearance between the grade of the grass and the top of the rocks, and go into there. So the other thing I did, when I took that out, I trailered that down there, and it was about just over a trailer load, so it was probably about six yards of material that I took out of there. So I stripped the topsoil from here to the end of the road, and hopefully you can see the pink mark. That is the edge of the road. I actually made it quite a bit of a straighter shot than I originally had, which is a little bit of a dogleg there to the left. So I mark out the uphill side, because that's where the ditch has to go, and then I'll just measure 12 feet over, and that'll be the end. I'm not too worried about that because I have a drop off, so wherever that 12-foot mark is over here, I'll just grade that down to the right and then put topsoil on top of it. May have to push some of that back, or I may dig some of that out and use it elsewhere. So now I'm just going to dig out this ditch just like I did over there. Probably a 10 inch drop from the road down. And just dump that into the road, and that will be the final grade of the road for up there. So it is not perfect, but it's more or less there. Now what I need to do is measure the 12 feet from the edge of the road over this way. Like I said, I may have some extra material because I think I will need it. I need just a little bit more at the end. It's mostly there, and it would be fine to winter over that way until I do more touch-up in the spring. So we'll do that. Maybe off camera because that's not all that exciting, and if I do dig some stuff out there, it's just going to be a repeat of what I did over here. So the next time we meet up will be culvert stuff, that big pie-shaped inlet to the 18-inch culvert, and neaten up the outfeed side of it, and then a little bit of work on the next culvert down. So I'm missing just a little corner there. I have a couple scrap pieces. I'll fill in that later. One thing I've learned using this fabric is, particularly a place like this where it's very uneven, is I fill it up with rocks and force that fabric to fill in every nook and cranny. If I didn't leave extra material on the sides or make it loose and wrinkled like I did here in the middle, then every time you put a rock in, the side would sort of move over, move over, move over. So the lesson here, and I've learned it over the years, not just with applications like this, but on roads that may not be flat like that, like a muddy, rutty road that you're trying to improve, plenty of extra fabric, because that 12 feet of width will soon become 8 or 9 feet as it contours with whatever the ground is. I don't know if you can make it out, but what I like to do with these is cut a little flap of fabric so that it goes in. It's just a little bit of insurance, extra protection to make sure that no water gets underneath the culvert and finds its way to the other side of the culvert without going through it. So plenty of rocks here. As I dig out, I will fill that, so it's not going to be like an all-at-once thing, but there's extra rocks there. Some of those I'll have to excavate over because they're a bit too big for me. I have plenty of little rock piles that I have along the sides, and every now and then I'll just go through with my tractor and fill up the bucket, and had been dumping them out front, and that's more or less full. It could use a little bit more, but it's good. So I'll do the same here as just the fill it up with rocks. I have plenty of rock walls that don't really serve much purpose other than, I guess, nostalgia to grab rocks from, or I can buy a truckload of tailings, which are basically the rocks left over when they screen gravel. Normally they're 3 inches and up, meaning 10, 12, 16-inch rocks or more sometimes. But those are costly. To have it trucked to my house is probably about, I haven't bought any this year, $250, maybe $300 per load for a 10-wheeler load for rocks. So that would probably just take one 10-wheeler load to fill that up as much as I needed to. So let's either spend the money or spend the time. So I took 2 bucket loads of rocks. I still have a bunch buried under there, but I need to clean this up. Obviously this is not going to drain very well. I'll have a big puddle there before it drains into the culvert. So I'm going to clean this up. I'll do my best to separate the rocks, probably put them on the road here. I'll do the same sort of treatment here on a smaller scale as I did down there, where I just dumped the rocks. Just a little basin, put some fabric in, and then the rocks that I pick out I'll throw what I need to here. If there's any left over, I'll bring them down there. Gosh, I have not seen so many rocks just sort of naturally deposited like that. That's kind of weird. So up there looks good. Here, I probably would like to be right where the rocks are. There's more than enough rocks that I need here. I'll take these out. Make my little basin there. So I think I've got this basin, whatever you want to call it, rock basin all done. Just pulling up the fabric a little bit to separate the topsoil from the rocks. So I still have, I'll shape this up a little bit, you know, this a little bit high in the middle, move some of the rocks over, maybe up against the side of the road there. So I separated out a pile there of rocks and one over there. I have some rocks over there. I don't know how much time I'm going to spend over there. It is quite time consuming to scrape all the mud that sticks to those rocks. It's the rocks that came out of the topsoil, not the rocks that come out of the clay, which generally are pretty clean. I've tried leather gloves doing that, and it's a mess. It's slimy, it's slippery, but these gloves work well. They're sort of a fabric glove with a rubber coating, and those work well. They stay relatively clean. You still have good feel. They're obviously much stronger than like a latex glove, but not as thick or as slimy as a leather glove. So I'm going to take these rocks, I have some others here, collect them in the bucket of the tractor, put them in that larger, that pie-shaped rock basin, and we'll move on. So I think that will do it for rock work, for now anyhow. I'll bring the excavator over here and spread these out. Be a little bit quicker than doing it by hand. And there's some sizable rocks. So they're all dirty. We're supposed to get like 2 inches of rain this weekend. This is Friday. It'll be interesting to see how all the drainage works. We've had dry weather, zero rain for I think 3 weeks, maybe more. It's a long stretch of dry weather for us, and I still have a lot of ground standing water, soaking wet dirt. But so the rain will wash this off. The difficulty why I don't like the dirt on there is the more dirt there is in this environment, the more weeds will grow. So the cleaner the rocks can be, I think the less problems I'd have with weeds and grass. But it is what it is. So let's move on. So that's complete. Road gravel and or some fill material will cover up the top of that over there. Same as over here. Most of these rocks will be exposed. There'll be grass on either side of that. But obviously there's a lot of sod in the way before that sort of detail is done. So this is good. Some dissipator rocks there. And then just off into the field, into the swamp or wetlands. The infeed side, inlet side of the same culvert is that big pie-shaped one, so I flattened out the rocks. I want to put a bit more rocks along the edges. There's some extra fabric there I'll trim off. The other thing I did is I made sure I had a decent ditch there, and I tracked it in just to sort of pack it down. This one here is, I think it's relatively clear that it's going to go this way. There might be a little bit of a spot right there where it's might puddle. Between this big culvert and that one, I don't know. It looks about level. The rain this weekend will be a good test of how the drainage works and maybe where I need to make some modifications. This I think is pretty much going downhill towards the culvert that we're looking at. The infeed side of this is that that rock garden, so all these dirty rocks basically came from right here. That looks good. Same sort of treatment, you know, bring the grass up to the edge of the rocks, make it mowable without hitting the rocks with the mower blade. That would be nice. This one here, it doesn't look as pretty. Some dirt and stuff has fallen over the rocks, but that's done. So this really is the only one that I have a little bit of rock work to do on the inlet side, so let's knock that out and we'll be done. Alright, so we'll call that good. There's not nearly enough of a drop here to worry about sort of putting rocks on the inlet. That'll basically be grass, probably right up to the inlet of it. So these extra rocks will just go down there where there's a bit more room for them. So just looking at these rock guards that I made, I've talked about them a couple times during the summer. This looks like it's bent out a bit. There is indication where the pins, the links have rubbed on the inside of this, and some indications there where the track has been at an angle enough where it actually hits on the bottom side. So, but I'm very pleased with them. I've not had one derailment yet this year, and particularly recently, let's look at that. Like just where I was here a minute ago, tracking in the ditches, a lot of heavy angles, a lot of twisting, and the tracks did not come off. So they are doing their job, and I could not be happier with that. What a pain in the butt it is to put those back on again when they come off. Like, takes an hour out of my work. So the entranceway, and this is another shelf where we're transitioning from thinking it was just going to be sort of a deep, wide rock line ditch to more of just the field coming up to the edge of the road and forming the ditch. So this is what I'm doing. It's the same as further down in the road. This one is probably just a little bit steeper, maybe 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet between the level of the field and the road. So it's a bit bigger, more material than down there. So you can see the difference here, and I'm just sort of sloping it down at a reasonable grade so that it's still mowable. Rain is literally hours away. The first rain we've had in like a month. Literally not a drop of rain in like at least 3 weeks, maybe 4. So what I've been doing is this material here, I think I've taken 5, maybe 6 trailer loads back into the woods. I'm going to keep doing that until the rain tells me I need to stop, because I can spread that out with a dozer in less than ideal conditions much more easily than I can to trailer material and dump it under less than ideal conditions. So we'll meet up again after the rain has come to see where the water goes. See you in a bit. So our, I wouldn't say major, but significant rainstorm turned out to be a bust. Even within hours of the event, the same day, they were saying 1.5 to 2 inches. I think we got a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Issue was I had a bunch of leaves in my rain gauge, so I don't know how much of that volume is water and how much is fallen leaves. So it's very muddy. This is just a road base. I will put gravel on this road next year, but you can see some puddles, which are inevitable, but I like to avoid them. I don't really think there's much runoff at all. It's been dry enough where that bit of rain that did fall, I think, was just absorbed by the ground rather than sort of running off. And all these culverts here really just excess water that's run off from the fields. So you can see here sort of the windy road. The only reason it's windy is to avoid wetlands. Basically the shape of the road is the wetland boundary, the wetlands plus the 50-foot boundary or buffer zone that I'm obligated to respect. So the road itself is about 900 feet long. As the crow flies, if I was to make a straight road from beginning to end, it'd be about 850. So an extra 50 feet of turns, which actually is not as much as I thought. I was anticipating a little bit more. So this is the bigger culvert, the one that I expect to have more flow. And here I am in my muddy feet. So there is some flow going through it, but there's not a lot coming from that ditch, nothing coming from that ditch. So it really is just runoff from up here, off from the field. This is not a perennial stream by any means, but it probably flows more than the water's coming there, and it's probably just right there. You can see it seeping through the road fabric. But this drainage area runs a much larger percent of the time of the summer than most of the drainage in the round here that just happens occasionally, like for the other culverts. So there's that little bit of a flow through the 18-inch culvert going through the rocks and into the field, into the beloved wetlands. I will come back later when we do have some significant rain, so we can see what actually is happening with the ditches. So it's going to be one more video of this road. I doubt there's going to be much actual progress on the road, if there is any, as the conditions allow. You can see my muddy feet. It'll just be to spread this topsoil out, and if the ground allows me to truck some of it, maybe I'll make a pile up there at the end, because I'm sure I will need it eventually. I have a couple other piles on the other side of the property, which I use on occasion. So the next video will look at drainage. I'm sure it'll rain between now and when I publish the next one. I'll do some drone shots before and after, so you can see sort of an overhead view of what the field looked like before the road and what it looks like now. The other thing is I trucked, trailered, tractored. Yesterday I just did 6 loads of material to the woods. I had done 3 loads earlier to my woodlot down the road, down this dead-end road there, about 2 miles. And earlier I had done some others. So I'll also show you where I've put some of this clay material as a road material in the woods. So this culvert has Just a trickle. Just enough where I can tell it's actually running. But not nearly enough rain to wash all the rocks off. They do look a bit cleaner than they did before. Puddle. I knew that was going to be a puddle. Actually, I want to fill that in just a bit more because it's more than enough of a steep drop from there to here into the rock basin. So I want to make that a bit more of a gentle of a slope than a steep one into a tiny reservoir. So there is some water running down here. You see the tiny little channels that the water's making. My feet get awful heavy walking in this mud. Road fabric. I had talked about this, I think, early on in the videos. My plan is not to use road fabric. This base should stay dry. It'll be above the grade. And there's really nothing soft about it when it's in good condition. It's a very sturdy, hard, impervious base. So all I'm going to do is just spread gravel on it next year. I do use road fabric, but I use it where the material, the ground that I'm going over is sort of perpetually soft. Like if I wanted to put it over a topsoil, a road over topsoil without removing it like I do in the woods on occasion, I will use road fabric there and it works wonders. But I just don't think I need it here. So that'll put the do it to it on this particular video. The next one, I'll do a review of the road as I mentioned, and show you some of the woods roads that I'm trying to improve with the leftover material that I have. So for now, thanks for watching this video. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.